Hola, Taboo Breakers. Bienvenidos a Taboo Talks Latina Edition. Yo soy Cynthia.
And I'm Jeanette, and here at Taboo Talks, we keep it real, raw, and rooted in our cultura. This is the space where we shed the silence, speak on the truth our abuelas were told to hide, and celebrate the stories that make us powerful mujeres.
We break cycles, honor our voices, and amplify the mujeres changing the game. Lo que nadie quiere decir, we say it here with heart, laughter, and healing.
Today's guest is someone who's breaking ceilings on one of the biggest stages in sports and entertainment. She's an Emmy Award winning journalist, fully bilingual, and the first ever woman of color and Latina to host a show at the NFL Network.
She's not only paving the way in the industry, but also advocating for representation and equality, working with women's empowerment groups like A Seat at the Table.
Welcome, MJ Acosta, to Latina Edition. We are so excited to have you here with us.
Hello,
Yes,
hello.
thank you
I'm
for being
really
here.
happy to be here. Yeah. I
Thank
feel
you
like
for
I'm
your
with my
yes.
primas. This is awesome.
I love it. Okay, so here at Taboo Talks, we love to start it off with this question. What taboo shaped your story, and how have you started to break from those taboos that we all grew up hearing?
Yeah. I think ironically, the taboo that shaped me the most as someone who literally gets paid to talk for a living was Calladita te ves más bonita. Right. I think
Oof.
that's something that we hear so often as kids, not just as children to be seen and not heard, but also as young women growing up, that you should be demure and like the less you speak, the more far ahead you'll get or the easier it'll be for you. And I think, taken that and turned it on its head, not just personally, but in my professional life as well. And even as someone who's like a forward facing public speaker, a journalist, a host, there have been more times than I can count to this day where that message in different verbiage still rings, right? In different rooms that I walk into, with different meetings that I take, different executives that I speak to. And it is the most frustrating, I think, part of having to exist in these spaces.
Wow, and that's crazy that you say that because, like you said, you talk for a living, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then you were raised with Calladita te ves mejor. So when was that moment that you were like, okay, enough is enough? And did you always own your voice, right? Because that
Yeah.
takes a while, especially when, someone always constantly told you that as a child. So when was that moment that you were like, no, no more being quiet?
Right. I think there's been more than one. And it comes in sort of these waves in different points of my life and different points of my career where I think physically you just can't sit on your hands anymore. Where it's this visceral feeling that if you literally don't speak up, you might die. And sometimes it is, I'm being anecdotal, sure, in that sense, but there is a point of survival too, and of being able to ascend to a different level in work more so than anything else, where they've tried to keep us, the marginalized voices, out of conversations on purpose. And where I said, well, you still want me to be the forward facing person on this. So unless you hear me clearly, I'm not going to do this work for you. And
Oof.
that comes with risks of, literally losing your job, risks of hearing backlash from certain topics. Like it's happened so many times. We would need a 4-hour episode to
I
get
know.
through it all. But I think I remember. But to your point, I don't think I did own my voice originally, right? Because you're conditioned
Yeah.
to not, to try to take the path of least resistance. And it's like, well, when you're the first in so many instances, there is no path. So what am I supposed to do? Like, carving a path is hard. Carving a path is messy. Carving a path can be disruptive in the best way, in a necessary way, right? So it's like, I really didn't have a choice. I didn't know that that's what it was. I just, I tap into my like young early, like late teens, early 20s version of myself, because she was far more fearless than I think that I am now. And that sounds counterintuitive, or like that doesn't make sense, but you can tell me anything back then, right? Like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm doing it. There's a lot more to lose now. So I find myself having to remind myself of who I am in some of
And
these
that
moments of hesitation.
that's
Yeah.
a powerful thing to do because I feel People can look at you of everything you've accomplished today, and they might think, "Oh, she's always had it easy, right?" Or "Ella es
Well,
bella, ella es beautiful. She walks in the room and she owns it." But very few people know, right? Especially now speaking up, that that's not always been the case.
no. And I'm walking in spaces, right, that were not built for us.
Yeah.
So it's not just being like the first and the only. It's almost feeling like an alien walking in there like, wait a minute. I look like a foreign creature because everyone else here looks like a copy paste version of themselves, and that's on purpose, right?
Yeah.
And while you find your allies and you find your mentors and you find the people who want you to really be successful, that's not the majority of the people that you're working alongside with. So it does get very tough and it does get very scary, honestly, at times. But for me, there was just no other. I'm like, what else do I want to do? Like, this is what lights my soul on fire. So
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? Just not pursue this, knowing that I've been blessed with this inherent talent and this ambition within me? It just felt like a disservice to myself and to my parents who sacrificed so much so that I could just even wake up one day and say, I want to pursue this. So yeah, you just got to keep going. I think that's also like the eldest daughter mindset too. Just figure it out, make it work,
Oh,
even if you're scared.
100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. You know, you've been breaking barriers as a Latina in sports media, which is powerful. I admire you for that, especially starting in journalists and then choosing sports. Like you mentioned, it's a male
Hmm.
dominated space. I saw a video and I was telling Cynthia before you hop on that you were interviewed and you were sharing your story on when you told your parents about being able to speak, right, at the
Yeah.
NFL network as the first women of color and Latina. Can you share that experience with us? Because I got goosebumps when you were
Yeah.
able to share that with your parents. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome because my parents are literally the reason, like, they are such an impetus for why I push myself as hard as I do. Like, I want nothing more than to make them proud, to be able to do right by them, to help them out as much as they helped me growing up. And so just seeing like the smile on their faces or seeing their pride, or like I know they're in that WhatsApp chat with everybody back in Santo Domingo, like, Chelsea,
Daughter.
and, like, it's a good feeling that I can make them proud and that I can bring that back to our family, but I think they are constantly the ones who remind me of what the success means. I can
Yeah.
get very caught up in, like, "Okay, well, what's the next step? And what's the next thing? And what else can
Yeah.
I do? And how more can I elevate our people?" I'm making sure that as I go up the elevator, I send it back down, right?
Mm.
And it's a lot. It's a lot of work that we're constantly doing, and they remind me so much to be in that moment, to give thanks, to be grateful, but beyond all of that, to enjoy it, to like sit in the pride of it all, to sit in the moment of like, yo, you're doing this. Like, there's never been anybody who's looked like this that has done this. And now you're there and you're carving this way. And so sharing those moments with them is everything. Like, I'm on ESPN Monday Night Football for ESPN Deportes in Spanish, in our language, right? Broadcasting to the US Hispanic market specifically. And that's a big deal to me. It never passes me how important that is. And I know without doubt, my mom will text me like, "Okay, we're watching you. We saw you twice in this game. We saw you 3 times." I'm like, "I would hope so, mom, because I'm out here working."
That's me.
Running laps on this field, but it's
Love
great.
that.
It's great to share that in not only like their native tongue, but in a way and an expression that feels so organic and natural to us in a space that has always brought us together as a family within sports, especially for Latinos. It's a big deal, whether it was a boxing match, where there was a World Series, NBA Finals, NFL, it was always a moment, right? Not that we need an excuse to get together and cook, but big sporting events certainly helped out in that sense. And that's where I got it. That's where I got the love of it.
I
That's
love that.
beautiful.
And was there ever a pushback from your parents at the beginning? Because, like we said, it is a very male dominated space. So,
Sure.
was there any pushback from them? Because,
No,
as
I don't.
Dominican parents, maybe they don't fully understand it at the
They
beginning.
Yeah, I don't think they understood. They're like, "Wait, you're doing how does this work?" Right? Like, I think we know the traditional sort of pathways. If you wanna do an administrative job, if you wanna do a corporate job, if you want they knew what that looked like because they had done it, right? So that's where they could impart their knowledge, their experience with me, but this was such a different space that they were just like, "Okay, you're gonna have to educate us on how this all works." And still to this day, like, there's so many intricacies in the business I'm still navigating and I'm still learning a lot of it too. So it's like giving them the information that they need to be supportive as my parents, also guarding them from the bullshit that they don't, can I curse here? They don't
Yes.
need to, that they don't need to worry about, right? Because they're, my mom will hop on a plane quick. What happened to my baby? What does she need? Not me, right? So like,
Yeah.
it's been interesting to navigate and to be the one to sort of explain what this pathway looks like for them, and that's a cool feeling too.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and we say it here all the time too, right? Like we love our parents, but we don't judge them and we don't blame them because they taught us
No,
who
no,
we are today. It's about rewriting that story and that script of who we want to become while not letting go of who we were, right?
yeah,
And
they
thanking
did the
them
best they
for
could with what they had,
yes.
and they
Yeah.
did a lot. They did a
Oof,
lot.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you always want to become a journalist? Like, where did that spark come? Like,
Yeah.
when was that moment
No,
that you like, I want to be a
um,
journalist?
I did not. So it's funny when you say, like, was there pushback from my parents? Because what there was pushback on was that all I wanted to do was dance. From the first ballet class they put me in when I was little, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this is, to this day, it's my top passion, my love, like the arts, and I think creative expression. And I think dance came so naturally to me because as Latinos, like we connect so deeply to music and we connect so deeply through that form of expression. And I can't sing, so dance was sort of like the natural progression of that. But they were like, well, what's the pathway that for you to have a career, for you to be financially stable, for you to be safe in your home, for you to be able to make money for yourself? And, like that's what their concern was, as it should have been. Right. So they were like, we don't get it. Like, what is this? And how are you gonna be doing that when you're 60, right? So, like, all of these type of things, that part was where they really, really had some issues, where they just wanted me to be successful and secure and safe. And if you think about what they had to go through, of course, that's what they wanted for me, for all of us, right? However, dance eventually, I don't know if y'all remember this show, or maybe I'm just, I don't know, aging myself. But there was a show on Mundos called The Roof, and it was a reggaeton show specifically. We had a DJ, they had dancers. I was one of the dancers. So I was cast on that show as a dancer. And that was my first time ever being part of live television, ever even being in like a broadcast space to begin with. And I was like, yo, this is so dope. Like, I love this. And it wasn't just like, I'm on TV. What I really loved about it was watching the show come together. We get there
Yeah.
hours before, we're doing rehearsal, we're doing hair and makeup, the hosts and the producers are having their meeting, the lights and the cameras are getting all set up, there's a show rundown. I thought the organization part of it was so interesting on how you got to like the fun creative side of what people saw at home. And at that point in my life, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had dropped out of college and was really just focused on dance. So I say all that to say, like, one passion led me to this other creative outlet that I realized, wow, I can fuel all of these other skill sets that I have and really look at something here. So I continued there. I would go in earlier. I would talk to the producers and I really started talking with the hosts. And I was like, man, I can do this. Like, I was the one hosting like all of my cousins' quinces. Like, I was the one that would
Oh
do like
my
all the
gosh.
family events. Like, so
I can
like
so
public
picture it.
speaking.
I
Yeah,
know, yeah.
100%. We would come up with like skits, like me and my cousins would come up with skits to do, like to open the show, like all of us had like these creative minds. And so I felt very naturally placed there. I'm like, this is something I can really, really excel at. So I found out as much information as possible. The next semester, I re-enrolled in college in broadcast communications, and the rest, as they say, is history. Like, I was like,
History.
this is it. But when I started in news because that was the natural path that they tell you in college. And so I worked in news for a while, but it just wasn't what really, like, you got to be about that news life, okay? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
truly to live in it. And I did it, and I did it well for a while, but I knew that it wasn't like what my end goal was. And I knew that my background in sports, I had danced at University of Miami as a hurricaneette. So being part of the football games, the basketball games, like, and being a sports head my whole life, thanks to my dad, I knew that sports was more aligned with my natural abilities, my natural knowledge, and what I was really, really interested in. So I really pushed for opportunities to, hey, I'll fill in on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, like when nobody else wants to do it, when, on the weekends, like I got you, and just really, really pushed to be in that space and was able to make the most of every chance that I got to do it. And then just focused on
Wow.
that for 15 years.
That's and that's beautiful because you kept rewriting your story, but you kept pivoting until you found truly what made you happy. And I feel
Yes.
like, again, a lot of us stay stuck in situations or career because, no, or that's what my
Yeah.
parents thought will be best for us. But also, it's all that we know. So maybe it's like if you would have stayed in the news thinking that was all that you're good at because you
Yeah,
were
maybe.
doing one hell of a job, right? But I love the fact that you kept pivoting. And to bring it back, you were also a former dancer or cheerleader for the Miami Dolphins, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I cheered for
Go
the Dolphins,
Miami.
but I was already period, fins up, even though let's not talk about this season. Okay, that's another podcast. I was already a reporter, like a working reporter by the time when I made the team. And I say
Nice.
by the time I made the team because I tried out for the team many, many, many years in a row. And it took me a minute till they picked a girl, but we got there. But it
But
was
you didn't stop. That didn't stop
it was
you.
about that following the passion. I was like, I'm going to regret this if I don't try out one more time, even knowing that I had already started my career, right? And I didn't know
Wow.
what the perception. I was like, I don't care. This is something that I so deeply know I can fulfill. It's different if they were like, sis, you are not meant for this team. Like, you can't dance,
Yeah.
you can't, whatever, right? If I had gotten feedback like that, I would have accepted it. I really would have. I'm not too proud, but I knew that I could do it. I knew that I could do it. And there were folks within that said, like, just keep pushing. And to this day, it feels like the biggest gift I gave myself because it was the best time of my life. I'm so deeply rooted with the women that I cheered with to this day, some of my very best friends. And like we have our reunion in a couple weeks. So all us
Nice.
has-beens, todas las viejitas are gonna be out there dancing at halftime, right? But,
Dancing it
like,
up.
it's such a beautiful sisterhood, and to have just fulfilled that dream for myself, I regret nothing. I would do it 10 out of 10 times again, and I think it only made me a better sports journalist,
Yeah.
having been on the sidelines in a different capacity too and working for a franchise. Still one of the proudest things that I've done in my life.
Love that. And let's give it a shout out to your parents because Muna Dominicana, I know what it is to present these careers, these
Girl.
different career paths that they have no idea, right? Like we all said,
Mhm.
they came here, they did our best. And you were like, I'm going to be a journalist. I'm going to do this. And I can just hear in the back of my mind my mom's voice. If I were to present her a career like that, she'll be like, what is that? Like, is that going to make
Eso te
right?
paga bien.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a
So
fair question, by the way,
100%, right? Because
because the
all they
answer initially
knew
is no.
No,
right.
so true.
So shout out to your parents for just supporting you 100% because we love that. And now let's dig a little deeper into taboos that you had to unlearn in your career. I know you spoke about Calladita te ves más bonita. Let's
Mhm.
talk about your curly hair because I did notice in the beginning of your career, you had your straight hair and then you transitioned into curly hair. And shout out to these curly brands like Ocoa, the Ocoa sisters, and Julissa, Riso Curls.
We love
Thank God
Julissa.
for them
Yeah,
because I'm like, if that was available back in the days, my
yeah.
hair would have been
Miss
curly a
Rizos
long
as
time
well,
ago.
our
Yes, Miss
Dominicana
Riso.
queen.
Yeah, there's so many that
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm not naming.
yeah.
So let's try to dig a little deeper on other taboos that you grew up hearing.
Yeah, I think well, if we start just, like, with the curly hair thing, that had well, yes, it was the standard of the industry, and you'll know this, Cynthia, in Dominican culture, it wasn't about that I mean, I think I got my first relaxer when I was, like, 9,
Same.
10 years old.
I say
I
that
didn't
all the
ask for it. I didn't pick it,
You
right?
didn't ask for it.
No one asked for
My
this.
mom was just like, let's go. We're going to the
It's
salon.
time.
Yeah.
Correct. And it was almost like this rite of passage, like, el derrizado, like, final, el pelo malo, all of this stuff, right? And I never blame anyone. Like, again, it's these like generational traumas that are passed on where, especially in the Caribbean, because we are so mixed, because there is such an erasure of our African roots, and such a deep, deep connection to trying to be more Eurocentric, not acknowledge our blackness. And so all of that is just passed down to the next kid and the next kid year after year. And it's still very pervasive over there, right? Look, women like Miss Rizos is doing an amazing job of like really leaning into that and beyond like the education of how to care for your hair, really knowing about what it means culturally, what it means for our literal roots, not just the roots of our hair, but within our ancestry, right? So it was this thing where my hair was already straightened because that's what I was told I needed to do to be successful, to be accepted, all of it, to be more palatable, even to
Yeah.
not even the mainstream, because when I got aterrizado at 9 years old, nobody was thinking I was going to be on TV, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
true.
Certainly not me, but it was like, okay, now you look presentable. Now, now we can manage your hair. Now we can manage you,
Mm.
Wow.
is what I've learned through therapy. So it's just, it's a lot of, I don't want to say undoing, it's like reprogramming,
That's the
because
word.
I
Yeah.
don't want to lose, I don't want to forget that part of it. It's important to understand why those things happened, and why they keep happening, and also choose what was best for me. Because I know a lot of women who still do the rizado. It's just easier. Child, I get it.
100%.
Once a
Yeah.
year, I'll straighten my hair, and it's a trap. And I'm like, damn. Girl, I'm not the curly hair is a labor of love. Okay, this is not for the weak.
But
This
I
is
just
not for the weak.
transitioned and I'm like, my gosh.
So you
I know.
know,
I was just over at Cynthia's. So then, I don't have, well, you girls have your beautiful curls. So, mine is a little bit easier. But then Cynthia's like, no, I'm washing my hair tomorrow because then I have to wash it.
the,
And then it's a
the curly
process.
math
And
is
then,
crazy.
yeah. And then I'm like, really? Like all the process she has to go through that you don't know until you actually see it.
No, it's
So
nuts.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But I did want to lean into it eventually. And it wasn't until, let's see, what year is it now? 2026. I did it in 20. No, we're not in 2026.
I was gonna say we're not in 2026.
You
I'm a
see?
tax accountant, so
not
some
yet, not yet.
I'm literally, okay, so you're thinking in quarters like I am, right? Because I'm already planning for early Q, right? Anyway,
yeah.
um, I have my own business. Like I'm always thinking several quarters ahead. Fiscal court, like all of it. Um, we're in 2025.
Yes.
I started transitioning to my curly hair again in 2018. So it has been not that long, but I think because it was the most forward facing time of my career and making it to the national level, this is how people know me, which I'm so glad for. But the bulk of my career was me with my straight hair. I think the tipping point was when I moved from Miami to San Diego, where I'm like, there's no Dominican salon. Like, where am I going? Who's doing my hair? Me.
Yeah.
I'm that girl doing my hair, but I'm not a professional. I know how to do my hair and how to straighten and all that, but I was killing it to the point where, and not in the good killing it way, like I was torturing my hair. It was very, very damaged. And I really thought I was going to end up like just bald. I had to cut it shorter and shorter because it
Wow.
was just getting really bad. So one day I said, I need to give it a break. And I just left it curly. And it didn't look like this, y'all. Like my curls were struggle bus.
It takes a
It
few
takes
years.
a minute.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Oh my god." I not only did I just, like, feel free from doing it, but I was like, "This is enough." Like, this is how my hair grows out of my head. Like, there was just this, like, visceral shift for me, and I was like, "Whatever. I'm in San Diego, like, it's fine. It's a chill place." Like, half the people are surfers, the other half are at the beach. Like,
Yeah.
they don't care. They're at the brewery. ¿Qué le importa a ellos if my hair is curly? And they didn't. Like, they were really surprised. They're like, "We didn't know your hair was curly," which to me sounds crazy. Like, what do you mean you thought my hair was just straight? But, like, you don't know what you don't know, right? I
Yeah.
guess. You never, So it was interesting, but once I did it once, I was like, "That's it. I'm not turning back." Like, I'm not, why am I struggling? My parents did not leave DR for me to be struggling.
Yeah.
Like, it's over.
I love it. Now, when you do your hair straight, like randomly, does it shock people too? Like, oh, straight hair?
Yeah,
Like, do
because
you get
it's
that
not.
reaction?
Well, to be fair, I straightened it last December because I had a series of games in like Wisconsin, Pittsburgh. Like it was just like, so I was gonna have to wear a hat because it was so cold. And as you know, it's hard. My hair's big, like it's just hard. I was like, let me just straighten it, and I had not straightened it since 2018 at that point.
Wow.
So
Good time.
last year was the first time outside of like just stretching it out to do like braids, right? That's different than like a silk press, a blowout. So my first like blowout in, I don't know, 6, 7 years was last year. And I shocked myself. I was like, who is she?
I can imagine
Um,
after so long.
I was also shocked how actually long it was because you don't see the full length with the curls. Like it was
right.
down
Yeah.
past my waist. I don't think my hair has ever been this long. But I went home, it was December, so I was able, thank God, to go home for Christmas last year, and you go right back into, like, the mechanisms, like, my dad, who meant it as a great compliment, but he's like and it
Yeah.
was like, I was like, "Thank you, dad," but it also just reminded me as a kid, like, when the reaction of folks when I did straighten my hair versus when I didn't, right?
Mm,
Like, it was you got
yeah.
so much more praise when your hair was straightened than when it wasn't. Like, "Oh, you didn't do it." My grandma, que descanse en paz, would always, "Ah, no te peinaste hoy."
Yeah.
But I did my hair.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's just curly today,
Yeah.
right?
My
But to her,
grandmother would be
no.
like
Like,
yeah,
you
my
were
grandmother
not
would be like, "Ay, ese pajón."
your
And I'm
pa
like I'm like, "Wait, but I actually, like, put
Yeah.
time and
Bro,
effort."
like, you know how give you a
I can
compliment
imagine.
so quick? But
Yeah,
yeah.
but we gotta love them, right?
Yeah,
We
you gotta
gotta
love
love
them. You
them.
gotta love 'em.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was interesting.
I love it. And did anyone in your family or community, like, get any pushback? Like, besides your mom and dad,
Yeah.
who else gave you, like, pushback? Not only on your hair, just overall.
I don't know, I think it was one of those, like, I wish you would say something to me. But I also have a very
So true.
supportive family. God, I love them so much. Like, from my tias to my cousins, like, everyone was just, like, all in. It didn't matter. Super supportive because I think I was just raised in an environment, like, even if we don't agree with what you're doing or we wouldn't do it ourselves, like, we gonna hype you up. One thing we're gonna do is hype you up, okay?
Beautiful.
So, it didn't matter, like, if you came in with your hair purple, "Okay, girl, purple it is, bet. It looks good on you, that's a good shade. It's in your color store." You know what I mean? So and I think also there were other women who had inspired me in my family who like, my youngest sister, Marlene, was already wearing her hair natural. She was like, "I'm done with this shit. Like, I'm just" and I was like, "Yo, for real, man. I wish I could do that." She's like, "Probably could."
Go for it.
You're an adult with free will. This too could be you. So there were definitely others. And now, like, it's all of us just like back and forth, like, what product are you using? Because, back in the day, there was like one
There was none. Yeah.
or one maybe, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. And it wasn't like the best ingredients. Now, thank God we have so many. It's awesome to like keep trying. I have my tried and true cocktail, but it's really cool to see that there's so much being poured into our communities and into our natural hair. It's really cool.
It's so needed, especially in today's world. So I
Hmm.
love to see the power of Latinas coming together like we're doing today. I know we
Yeah.
said this to you many times, but just the fact that you said yes, that you're being a voice, that we're breaking taboos together, it's so needed. And it's a reminder that our struggles, we're not fighting it alone. And we've probably
Mhm.
been there, but somehow, we've been breaking them and we've been moving forward. So I
For sure.
admire you for that because it's taking me to what I was going to ask you next. You've been rewriting your narrative with future generations of Latinas. Talk a little bit more about the women empowerment groups like Sit at a Table, because I know
Yeah.
you've been huge about being a voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I believe a lot in peer mentorship as
Yeah.
well. I don't think a mentor just has to be somebody who's much older than you. I think that helps because we all need a little knowledge and a little wisdom in our lives. But I think it's also important to have the mentorship alongside people who are going through the same things as you, who can just
Yeah.
shed in not only the support, but also the I see you so deeply in this moment because I too am going through this. And it's either a this is what has worked for me or girl, avoid this, it did not work for me or let's
Yeah.
figure this out together, right? So a seat at the table was a really, really cool. It's now an amazing organization ran by my good friend Christina Hofstad, who also works over at the NFL. She and I came together before the Super Bowl in Miami and said that we really wanted to do something with in community with other women working in a space like the NFL. There are women certainly over, but most of us when we're not together are one of the few or one of the only there, if not the only. So when we do get together, we like latch onto each other so quickly. And we really wanted to have that space in a big tentpole event like Miami. And for me, it was a homecoming. And I said, hey, I know plenty of people here, as do you. She also has ties to Florida. So I said, let's reach out to some people. The other women who we know work alongside us will be half the table. And the other side, I wanted to be young women who are coming into the industry or about to enter the industry, perhaps in college at the moment, who need that face-to-face time. Because as you guys know, it's so important to be able to connect someone in real life. You can hit people up on LinkedIn and you can reach out to them, but it's just different when you have that intimate connection and you can look someone in the eye and say, this is what I'm passionate about. How can I help you?
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to do. So we put out the call on social media and had people nominate other young women. And so we
Wow.
picked as many as we could. There's a finite amount of room that we could do. And we didn't want it to be too large where it would defeat the purpose. So we made it 30 women total, and just made sure that they had a space, that they were surrounded by other women in spaces that they wanted to enter, so that they knew that when they entered these rooms, even if it was just metaphorically, they were not walking in alone. They had the knowledge and they had the power and they had the connections of other women who could help them navigate these spaces. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day. And we named it A Seat at the Table because we were literally building our own. And
Oh, so powerful.
I love that Christina took it and created the actual nonprofit for it. And we continue to mentor these women and then other women that come up the pipeline. So it's been really, really cool.
I love that. And I love the name and the concept because
Yes.
I think for many of us as Latinas growing up, I don't think we ever felt that there was a seat at the table for us.
Because there wasn't.
Right. Because there wasn't. Yeah. Or many times because we were conditioned to, don't be too loud. It was almost like we were conditioned to be invisible
Mm,
in these spaces. So I love the name. I love the concept because you are building that table for that generation that's coming up.
for
Very
sure.
beautiful.
I
Yes.
think the bigger message too is sometimes even when we have earned our way in, they'll they'll allow you to come to the door, but they don't want you to take up space. So it
Oof.
is that sit in the back of the room, take notes, but
Mm.
don't answer, don't say anything. When you have so many good ideas, valuable ideas, profitable ideas, it can be very frustrating. So we wanted to empower this generation to be able to go in there and fully own the space that they should be taking up.
Mm,
Beautiful. Thank you
Yeah,
for
because I'm
creating that
tired. I
space.
can only do it for so much longer. Y'all got it from here.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Love it.
I love it. Now, let's touch a little bit about identity. I know being fully bilingual and navigating two cultures, especially in your industry, can be a little bit difficult. So, how has been fully being bilingual kind of shaped your voice and confidence in your career?
Yeah, it's been my superpower. No question. No
Love it.
question. And it's so funny because if you leave the United States, they're like, "Oh, you only speak 2 languages?" I was like, "I'm trying to learn French, I'm trying to learn
Yeah,
Portuguese.
I'm
I'm
trying.
old. I'm old, okay?" But in the US, having even just a second language to speak is a massive advantage, right? And here, even if we're just talking business-wise, the US Hispanic Latino demographic is the fastest growing demographic in the US by a lot. Okay, it's
Yeah.
not like a small margin. We are growing, we're growing fast, and we are no one else is pacing us in that regard here. So meaning we're here to stay, get used to it. And so for me, I actually started my career working in Spanish language television. Um, and I will say, I know that now there's this whole movement of the no sabo kids, right? Meaning the kids who don't speak fully fluent Spanish. And so sometimes they mess up the grammatical or the syntax in Spanish phrases. And sometimes I feel like that too, even though Spanish is my first language. Take a sip here. But it's crazy because it's no longer my primary language, right? I think in English. And
Right.
so I
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
to
same.
translate in real time. So a lot of times I'll laugh with my deportes family, okay, me siento muy excited. I'm gonna be that Selena girl sometimes. I'm gonna be the gringa, and they'll go with me. But I think I represent very much this confluence, this intersection of multiple generations. I'm an elder millennial, as I say. And so I am first gen here, and I grew up only speaking Spanish in my home, right? My
Same.
abuelas didn't helped raise me. They didn't speak Spanish. My parents were learning English. So the predominant language at home, if not the only language at home, was Spanish. But at school and everywhere else, it was English. And so I'm fully fluent in every capacity. But there are some times where, it's very different to speak conversational Spanish as it is to speak broadcast Spanish, let alone sports broadcast Spanish. But even if I say something in English, the audience gets it. This is such
Yeah.
an intersectional point where it's not like they've never heard these English language words before. They get it. I don't have to say Mariscal de Campo. They know what a quarterback is, right? I don't have to
Right.
say anotación. They know what a touchdown is. I don't have to say cuadrangular. We know what a home run is, right? Like, so it's this overlap of like, yes, speaking the proper Spanish, but also knowing that it's this different generation of folks who grew up here who maybe fully understand Spanish but don't speak it.
Mm.
And so it's navigating those spaces, giving myself some grace as well. If I fumble on a word, I'm like, it is, they get it. They know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But knowing that my Spanish is strong enough to go toe to toe with like people who only navigate spaces in Spanish. So it's cool.
I
They
Now,
love
they
that.
help me too.
how about in the male-nominated space, right? Where it's
Mm.
like, ever feel the pressure of like, I have to speak only English, or were you okay owning it in
No,
Spanish
I didn't
too?
care. No. I was like, that sucks for you that you don't have this cool
Proud of you for
superpower that
that.
we do. Like,
Yeah, it's so true, right? It's like, you should learn Spanish. You
I
should
know, yeah.
know.
correct. Like, you know I speak English, so, like, who cares? I love when there is, like, more than one of us and we can, like, slip in and out so seamlessly, right? I think that is cool, but it's also there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of folks wanna make you think, like, you only have to speak, and the crazy thing is, I'm very blessed, somebody who has been able to travel the world. You go anywhere else, and so many places accommodate English speakers, right?
Yeah.
And, shift from their native language to accommodate us. But here in the US, it's the opposite, where like nobody wants to do that. So it's a very
True.
interesting, like, I think the perspective I've gotten from being able to work internationally and travel personally to other countries has really given me a lot of insight too.
I love that, and
Be
I think we
helpful.
all grew up the same where it was, like, only Spanish at home with
Hmm.
my mom, my
By default.
right, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think growing up as a teen, I remember not being upset, but kind of like, oh, like, when I would say something in English, my mom would be like, "No, no, no, español."
Right. But thank God. Yeah.
'Cause in her mind, she's like, "English, you're gonna learn it in school, and that will be your
100%.
second language." But,
Yeah.
as a teen, right, growing up, you would be like, "Oh, damn, like, I have to
Yeah.
speak Spanish at home." And now I'm like, "Thank you, mom."
Yeah. And I have friends now who have that same mindset even if they're not Latino. Like I have a great friend who just had a child and she's like, I only speak to her in Farsi because she's gonna learn English in every other and she's gonna be speaking English in every other capacity. It's an incumbent upon me as her mother to speak to her in Farsi so she knows her background and she can speak to her elders and like and just have the cultural context of who she is. I have another friend who's like, okay, we're at the house, we're speaking Mandarin. I have another friend like Portuguese. So it translates over in other spaces too, where it's not just us like trying to keep that alive. I think it's deeply important for folks to know like the roots of where they come from.
Yeah, and it hits different too because you can be like, well, they can learn this at school or they can get a course, but
No,
if you learn it at home,
Yeah.
that's so different. Like my
you have to
Spanish,
be
that's my
immersed in
first.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it hits different. Like now being able to be bilingual is so powerful that now I
Mhm.
feel like my second language, yes, is English, but I was born and raised in Miami. And people are like, you have an accent. And I tell Cynthia all the time, and I'm like, what accent? They're like the Miami accent or the ref accent, what they call, right?
Yes, that's what they call it in
And I
Miami.
own
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I own it. I'm like, it's okay, then that's my ref,
Who
but
cares?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm proud. Yeah. So that's
Miami
so
does
true.
have an accent, guys. Like it is I had
It
to
does.
like I had to come up with like a new you have to learn how to speak in like a non-regional diction, like very neutral, but I
El
also didn't
acento
want to have
neutro.
like news anchor voice. So even my Spanish, right? Like I can if I'm around my family, like yes, I'm Dominican, but there is like very specific tone and inflection and like how you
Yeah.
pronounce different words, but like it's funny. But the Miami accent is like I mean, I guess like Boston has it too, and like the
New
Midwest
York.
has it too. New
Yeah.
York has it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That you can tell
for
where
sure.
somebody's from. You're not from here, they usually say,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of your
Yeah,
accent.
yeah.
Alrighty, MJ, time for a little fun before La Tia cousin. It's a quick
Okay.
fire style, rapid questions. Say the first thing that comes to mind in a few words or a
Okay.
sentence. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. If you could only pack three things in your Latina survival kit, what are they?
Coffee, eye cream, mascara.
Ooh. Whoa.
Okay.
We're having a hard time trying to come
I
up with
know.
three.
Yeah. There's more, but if it's only 3, yeah.
I stopped at coffee, and then I looked at Jeanette, and I was like, "What else would I grab?"
You know why
And
I
then
say
for
coffee? Because you can
water.
use coffee for, like, okay, if you need to, like, make a little something and you need caffeine for your skin, obviously you can ingest it's very multi-purpose, like, coffee
I love
grinds can do
that.
a lot for you.
Yeah.
There you see? Okay, got it.
Okay, so what's one Latina you'd love to share cafecito with, dead or alive,
That I haven't shared cafecito with yet?
that you want to share? Yeah,
Okay.
I guess that you haven't, yeah.
Because Gina Torr was on my list, and thank God I was able to do that, and she's just a queen amongst us. We don't deserve her, but I think oh god, dead or alive. You know,
I
I've
know.
met Rita Moreno, but it was very quick, and I was very awkward. Very awkward. Qué vergüenza.
It's like
So I
things that
would
you
love
reflect on.
I would
Were
love the
you
moment
nervous?
of redemption to sit down with Rita so she knows I'm not a complete weirdo. Maybe I am, but not
I
entirely.
love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Oh my god,
It
it was
makes
so
us
bad.
raw and real.
Wow.
One song that instantly makes you feel poderosa.
Currently, it's like every song on Bad Bunny's Debí timar- Debí tirar más fotos. Did you guys watch the concert?
I did not, and then I
I
tried to
We
cried.
were
It was
traveling,
so
yeah, we were
good.
traveling. I tried to rewatch it because I was like, "Oh, I'm sure I'll be able to rewatch
but it's
it."
not
You
the
can't
same.
replay.
It's not the same. It
No.
was like the collective. Yeah, I was like, okay, we're all Puerto Rican today. Like, but
Yes.
I know.
it
I
was great.
actually watched
Yeah.
it through everybody's stories because everybody was
Really?
watching
No,
it.
we watched. My husband is Puerto Rican, so we were like in it, in la sala,
Yay!
but in
Qué
it.
rico.
Yeah,
Those are
I
the best
love it.
ones.
yeah.
Oh my god, okay. Y ahora la tía chismosa. We know the one
Mm.
that always has something to say in every freaking event. Even if we don't ask for her advice, she always has something to say.
Yeah.
So, if she were to see the woman you are today, Latina hosting an NFL network event, you're shining on ESPN, representing Nuestra Comunidad with pride, what do you think she'll say to you?
If she's being shady, she might say, like, I remember you as a kid. I didn't think this was there for you. I wouldn't have painted this for you. But look at you, girl. You did it. Despite being an awkward, rhythmless child, you made it here. I think that's what she would say. Yeah.
I
That's a
love
good one.
that.
Yeah.
It's always like a negative comment and
A
then with like
backhanded compliment.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe you grew up to be this.
Gang, that's all they
Te
do.
lo digo por tu bien. I'm trying to help
Yeah.
you. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pero qué
I
sé yo? I don't know, right? Like,
yeah. But that's just
they'll
my
wash their hands
opinion.
off. Right. But I don't mean nothing. Yeah.
I love that. All right, MJ, and what's next? What's next for you? Tell us. Tell our
Yeah.
listeners where they can find you. I know you have your
Yes.
podcast also. What
Yes.
is next for MJ?
Go check out for sure my podcast, Becoming Undefined. It's over on YouTube by the same name, and it is just incredible conversations from our community. It's all about intersectionality. You can be more than one thing or none at all if you don't have it figured out yet. Like, that's the whole point of the conversations, to open up in a safe space. We have cafecito conversations on the show. It's been a really, I think, the most purpose driven I've felt in my career, being able to produce something and put it out there for us, about us, from our lens, and realizing that our lenses are all different too. There's a lot that really brings us together. There's a through line for sure, but we're not a monolith. And we all have different perspectives and different life experiences. And I think it's important for all of us to hear each other out on that. Outside of that, we're in the middle of football season. So check me out on ESPN and on ESPN Deportes on Monday nights as well. And I'm still working with NFL Network too. So you'll see me on a few features there, and certainly as we gear up towards the end of the season in Super Bowl. What's next? So that's what's present. What's next is I'm figuring it out. I think the landscape of the industry is changing faster than most of us can keep up with. But what I can promise you is that I'm investing in myself and, by extension, investing into our community and into our stories. So look out for a lot more of that kind of work too.
Love
That's
that.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, MJ. Thank you for sharing your story, for breaking barriers, and for showing us what it looks like to own your truth. You've been doing one hell of a job, and it's such an inspiration to us.
Thank you guys for having me. Sometimes, like, we need the reminder, like, we get so deep in the work. So it's really a blessing to be able to sit here and like be given flowers and receive them. I think we're not always great at that. I'll only speak for myself. So thank you for the opportunity to just be in community with both of you and with everybody who's
Yeah.
listening.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
Thank you.
that. And to our beautiful taboo breakers, this is your reminder to keep walking your truth, keep breaking cycles, breaking silence, and breaking taboos. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Y como siempre, chicas, we'll see you next time on Taboo Talks Latina Edition.